What's going on, movie friends? I'm the Viking, of course, and this is my non-spoiler review for the Army of the Dead prequel, Army of Thieves. And this is a huge hit on Netflix, produced by Zack Snyder and directed by the actor that plays Dieter in Army of the Dead and Army of Thieves, Matthias. I'll butcher his last name, but just Dieter, you know who it is. But first of all, the main premise for this film is a prequel set before the events of Army of the Dead, which focuses on German safecracker Ludwig Dieter leading a group of aspiring thieves on a top secret heist during the early stages of the zombie apocalypse. Now, I was excited for this movie because I loved Army of the Dead, I love zombies, and to see Zack Snyder tackle that genre again. And then we heard that there was a prequel happening too that was coming out this year. Of course, I was excited, and Zack Snyder as a producer, and it's a part of this Army-verse he's trying to build right now, and it's following the character of Dieter. But when I first heard of his Dieter, I was like, okay, I liked him in Army of the Dead, but how are you going to do a prequel about this character when I thought this universe was about zombies? But if you watch Army of the Dead, it's about zombies, cyborgs, maybe aliens. What else is this world bringing us to? So then I got with the idea, okay, I'm interested to learn about Dieter. And then there was theories about maybe time loops or time travel. Maybe the safes can do this. So then we have the safecracker, Dieter, and his origin story and him cracking safes. Maybe this might tie in to Army of the Dead and some of the theories that we have. And I think it did, but overall, I really love this film. It's so well directed. The score from Hans Zimmer, I'd argue, is better than Dune. I would argue. I just loved listening to it. The beat of it, it was just very upbeat, and it just matched exactly what Dieter is as a character, him safe cracking. It was just perfect, I thought. I really, really loved it. But overall, as I said, the film is just so much fun. It's got great colour to it, cinematography, just some of the directing tricks. There's one scene in the movie where a character kind of jumps through a window and the camera, it's like a point of view from the character jumping out the window. It's like you're the character. It's pretty cool, pretty badass. It's kind of one shot. Really well done. Different tricks like that. We go to different locations like Prague, California, all around Europe. And kind of the name comes up in the city or in the kind of wide shot of the location that you're in. Those types of directing tricks were really, really well done. But I think this is a great entry into this Armyverse that's being built by Zack Snyder and now by Matthias. Now, if you didn't like Army of the Dead, you don't like zombies, that's cool. I think you will like this movie because it's just basically a heist love story. Zombies are there, they're in the background of kind of this story that's being told, but the film doesn't rely on being a prequel to Army of the Dead. It doesn't have, references left, right, and center. Oh, remember us? We were in Army of the Dead. It doesn't have stuff like that. Zombies are very much a part of this world because as this story unfolds, as these heists are happening, the zombie apocalypse has just started in Vegas. And Dieter as a character is having dreams or nightmares or prophecies of zombies, maybe foreshadowing his future that we got to see in Army of the Dead, where he is maybe killed by zombies, but maybe not. Zack Snyder's hinted that he may survive, and we might get to see him in the sequel to Army of the Dead, Planet of the Dead. But this film just has small scenes with zombies. Not huge, not lengthy ones, just small ones. And I think if you're not a fan of zombies, but you like good characters, a good story, a love story, heist, then I think this film is very much for you. And I watched it with my sister and we had such a good time with this movie. I think it's definitely a film to watch with family, friends, or something like that because it's just a really well told story. I couldn't believe how much I liked this film. And some people out there are saying that it's better than Army of the Dead. It could be. I think Army of the Dead has more rewatch value because of the zombies, because of the violence, the action, the gore. And of course, Zack Snyder directed it, so there's always that underlining symbolism or something else going on with a Zack Snyder movie. I think that has more rewatch value, but this film right here was just a pleasant surprise. And I love the relationship between the heist team, the chemistry. It was all good, and the jokes in this film aren't like done just to be cheesy or to be stupid or anything like that. The jokes are done pretty well, but it's not a comedy. It doesn't rely on those tropes, and it makes fun of the heist, tropes. Oh yeah, we always come up with a plan, or we see how it plays out, and then we go and do the heist. It makes fun of the heist genre while also doing its own thing, and I actually appreciate that a lot more because heist films are pretty repetitive, but this one here is very different, and I appreciate that kind of switch by the director and by the team involved. Dieter was very much a comedic relief in Army of the Dead, but in this film, he's more of a deeper, flawed character because he lives in Germany, he works in a bank, and he's a very lonely guy. He lives a repetitive life. You know, he does the same thing over and over again. He gets up every morning, he makes a YouTube video about saves, about the history of saves and his passion for saves, which nobody watches. He goes to work, he actually gets a coffee, gets a muffin or a bun or something like that, goes to work, you know, has his lunch, then goes home and goes to bed. It's the same thing over and over again. But then he gets a mysterious comment on his YouTube channel to go to a certain location. And I love the scene where Dieter got so happy that one person watched his YouTube video. As somebody who makes YouTube videos or content online, you know, when you get a view or 10 views, you know, it's good to see that somebody appreciates the work that you do or likes you or whatever, you know, it just feels good. But Dieter gets this mysterious comment to go to this certain location. It's actually a safe cracking competition. And slight spoilers, he wins this safe cracking competition, and it was more or less kind of a test to see if he is good enough to be recruited by this international famous heist team. This heist team is led by Gwen, and in this film it's more of a love story between Dieter and Gwen, which was very fascinating to watch at times. And Dieter joins this heist team. He gets persuaded, not because of money, but because of a legendary status. As I said, he's obsessed with saves, so he's obsessed with cracking these 4 saves by Hans Werner, who we get a backstory to his character and what happened to him, which was very, very interesting and might add to some of these theories that we got in Army of the Dead. But you have these 4 safes, and Gwen says to Dieter, this is about being legends. Let's do this. You know, help me, join my team. You get to crack this safe, then the next one, then the next one, and maybe eventually the big, big safe, which we get to see in Army of the Dead. So let's talk about the heist team. Dieter joins them, of course. You have the leader, Gwen, who's his love interest, very likable character. We got to see this actress in Fast and Furious. She had a badass action sequence, really, really loved it, and that was really well shot. Very intense and very kind of passionate, the way that she was able to beat up those guys in that scene. Then we have Brad, played by Stuart Martin, who is more or less, you know, kind of the tough guy of the group, the muscle of the group. You know, he's the kind of cross between Brad Pitt and Nicolas Cage. Then you have Rolf, who is the getaway driver, played by Gus Kang. He is actually very funny in the movie. He doesn't have a huge amount to do. He's a few scenes driving away, but yeah, he was fine for what he was in. And then, of course, we have Corina, played by Ruby O'Fia, who I actually think is going out with, you know, Mateus in real life. But she plays the hacker. And she had a pretty interesting backstory that I won't spoil, but it kind of ties into something that happened in real life, which I thought was pretty awesome. So basically, that's the team. And this team together has very good chemistry. They think out their heists very well, and we get to see them perform this. So overall, I think the group was very likable. You know, they didn't have overly that much to do. It's definitely more of a Dieter and more of a Gwen love story, and then these heists are thrown into it, and then the kind of mythology with the safes. And every time they come across a new safe, Dieter likes to explain the kind of history, the mythology of these safes to Gwen while he's cracking them, and I found that very interesting as well. And it's definitely something that I want to dig deeper into. I think it's a lot to do with Norse mythology, which is an anime series that Zack Snyder is producing for Netflix. And I don't know about you guys, but my kind of theory is that Rebel Moon and that this army verse and this Norse mythology verse that Zack Snyder is creating could all be tied together. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But I found that very fun, where Dieter was explaining the history of these safes to Gwen while he was cracking them. And the sequences where he cracks these safes are so much fun. Oh my god, the directing, the CGI is fantastic. We actually get to go inside the safes while they're being cracked to see if Dieter can, you know, figure out the lock, figure out the code, whatever it is, and we get to see the locks moving within this safe, and I love that. That was so cool. And then the score is just perfect along with it. Unbelievable stuff from Hans Zimmer. Great directing by Mateus. And this is just such a good film, guys. You definitely have to check it out. And if you have checked it out, let me know below, because I think this is a film that's just so much fun and so likable as well. And I'm glad I got to sit down and watch it. There's no real villain for this movie, I would say. And then as the movie goes on, there's a villain presented, which I don't want to spoil. And I think maybe that part was the weakest of the entire movie. But you have these detectives on the tales of Dieter, Karina, Rolf, Brad and Gwen, of Delacrix and Beatrix. These two detectives have been hunting down this group for years, even before Dieter came along. They actually captured one of their members before, who was the original safe cracker, and I have a theory about that as well. I've got loads of theories, which I'll probably do breakdown videos about if you guys are interested in that. And they actually have come across them before. Brad has shot this detective, so they have a grudge between each other, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, there is no real villain. You just have this heist team trying to crack these safes, trying to get money, and you have the police on their tails. That's just kind of a basic kind of heist trope. But I think it was done pretty well, and the police officers were pretty likable as well at times. So yeah, just it needed maybe a better villain and maybe more stakes when they're performing these heists. But the first heist is very, very entertaining. And, you know, Dieter is probably the best at doing this, and he's the only one who can crack these safes. So maybe there is no real heist because there's no real danger of Dieter not performing this, because he has studied it his entire life. He knows the history. He's done it since he was a kid, and you know, he's not going to fail because he's been waiting for this his entire life. He lived a lonely, repetitive life, and now he's been thrown into this exciting one, and this is what he's kind of been waiting for, and he excels. So Dieter is obsessed, and he knows the history of Hans Wager, this famous safe creator who created the 4 safes that Dieter wants to crack in this film. We have the ring cycle of safes, the Rheingold, the Valkyrie, the Siegfried and the Götterdämmerung, which we get to see in Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead. And I loved seeing the history about each safe and what it actually means and why kind of Hans Wagner created these ones, which was pretty interesting. And then we get to see why Dieter is so obsessed with the Götterdämmerung by the end of this movie, which leads into Army of the Dead. So I love that so much. And I don't know about you guys, but maybe a theory is that Dieter is Hans Wagner, maybe. But guys, that was my non-spoiler review and thoughts for Army of Thieves. What did you think of it? I loved it. Well directed. Let me know if you're interested in watching the film. If you've already seen it, let me know below. I will definitely do a spoilers review tomorrow if you're interested in that. But guys, this is one hell of a movie and a great entry into the Army verse. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, thumbs up. Appreciate it, guys, and see you in the next one.